This is the world map thanks to Vibes of Cosmos. As you know, the moon is the mirror of the earth, and this is awesome because it shows the frozen areas and the areas where we have sunlight and we have the sun. So you can see there's like three different areas, three circles which are blue. You have blue. That's the areas where there is sun. Therefore, there is human life, at least as far as we know. So this first area here is the Antarctica Treaty, the circle. The limits being Antarctica. So Antarctica is not a continent. Antarctica is everything that's in the limits of the Antarctica Treaty, which is a geopolitical military treaty, which was established in 1961 after 2 years of negotiations from 1959, and it expires in 2045. And this is the Antarctica Treaty. The second circle is Mercury. Mercury is not a planet in space. That's just 3D CGI. Mercury, as you can see here, acts like the sun. And it spins. That's why it says Mercury spins around the Earth, right? I mean, the Earth where we live. And then Mercury allows for this area between the frozen areas, the first and the second frozen areas, to have life. So you can see here, there's parts of these continents here which are green, and there's part of this continent which is green, and there's parts of the edges of Pangaea which is green in the area of Mercury. And then the second area is Venus. And as you can see, the Venus area is bigger than Mercury because it has a bigger diameter, and you have life on this archipelago of islands, and here some islands as well, and here a continent island, and some islands here. So, and where's Venus? Says some, if I can see Venus. I'm not sure if Venus is, yes, Venus. So Venus has, like, Mercury and Venus are different than Mars and Jupiter and the others. So, and the rest here is frozen. This circle, the Antarctica Treaty, moves accordingly to the black sun, which is entering through the North Pole, Hyperborea. And Hyperborea, as you can see, this area here between the North, what we call the Arctic, and Hyperborea Central, it's white as well. So it's like a frozen area, but then the interior of Hyperborea is not frozen because that's the actual place where the sun comes and the wavelength of the electromagnetism starts. So the wavelength starts here, then we have a slight frozen area which is less frozen than these areas, and then we have the frozen areas. As you can see here, it makes perfect sense because the edges from South America and Lemuria and Australia, which is what we call Antarctica, there's less frozen area here. Why? Because our sun moves in an analemma form, which analemma, we see it in the sky as analemma, but as a representation in 2D paper, it would show a circle, right? And then the edges of our sun, not our sun, the sun that we see on the skies, when the sun reaches all the way through here, and then Venus has this reach. Venus has this reach as it moves above. So that's why this area here is less frozen. It's still frozen, but it's not the same with it as here. That's why you have this exit, which is forbidden, and the exit is forbidden from Lemuria. So South America and Australia are quite far away from Lemuria. And this exit here still has some ice, but it's less ice. So an icebreaker or the submarines can easily access. This is called the Ross Archipelago. And as you can see, it's like forbidden to go beyond. We have the two stations. We have McMurdo Station and Zucchini. So McMurdo Station is actually at the very edges of what we call Antarctica. That's why you say the limits of the world, which is forbidden for civilians, and it's beyond the Antarctica. So it's actually at the borders of the Antarctica Treaty, latitude over 70 degrees south. South is everything that goes in a straight line from Hyperborea, which is here, the north, which is also forbidden. So that's why this is, I hope you understand Antarctica, right? Antarctica is everything that's frozen is Antarctica. And that's why McMurdo Station is at the very end of what is allowed for us to, not for us, for the military to explore. And from McMurdo, it's only this to get to the area from here. This is McMurdo, so you just exit and you get to the area of Mercury, and you actually have these two continents which are called East Ireland and West Ireland, and part of the continents are in the area of Mercury, and there's plenty of life here, I guess, human life and stuff like that. And of course, if you want to exit then from the area of Mercury, because between Mercury and Venus there's also a frozen area because the Mercury has a wavelength which reaches all the way here, and then there's a frozen area, and then there's Venus. So the area where Mercury ends until Venus starts, we have frozen. As you can see here, there's this area here which allows for an exit I guess from Mercury to Venus because it's melted. So you can exit with a ship or an airplane. If you go with a UFO, you exit to Venus and you have more lands and stuff. Of course, if you go with a submarine and there's nothing, there's no icebergs on the bottom, then you can actually go as well, because that's what the Germans did. So it's very simple to understand once you know where we live. This is Africa. Atlantis and Lemuria are within the reaches of the sun. So the sun, our sun, not our sun, the sun we see, which causes the solstice of summer and the equinox of autumn and fall, and the solstice of winter. And we have the equator. We have the Atlantic Ocean, which is called Atlantic because of Atlantis, or Atlantic because of Atlantic. And the thing is, as this moves, the Vibes of Cosmos has made this movement, which the movement is 26,000 years. I'm not sure. Yes, the movement, the north, moves a full circle every 21,600 years. So what's the full circle? The full circle is all this here. So all this here, which is what the moon shows, this moves like this up, so it gets frozen. So Africa is going to get frozen, and then of course Eurasia and Europe and Asia and stuff as it moves like that, and Pangaea gets unfrozen. The thing is, as this moves like this in a circle, I'm not sure, I think it's like counter clockwise. Atlantis is always here in the middle, because as you can see here, Atlantis is the actual central part of the world shown by the moon. It's exactly in the central part if you do a calculation. So that's why as the sun moves like this, Atlantis is always green. All the others, even Lemuria freezes, and Australia and everything, Atlantis. That's why we have these legends about, oh, the Atlanteans and Atlantis came and they inhabited Egypt and Africa and Europe and Scandinavia and other places. So probably that's the main reason why Atlantis is always, who knows what kind of people live in Atlantis. Maybe our gods live in Atlantis, or maybe it's Hyperborea. Hyperborea also gets frozen. So the sun enters now through Hyperborea, but as this moves like this, Hyperborea at some point is going to be frozen. That's the ice ages, right? So it's not difficult to understand. The craters you see here are the bottoms of the oceans. The big majority, so they're on the bottoms of the oceans. And once Pangaea, this is the big continent of Pangaea, gets unfrozen. We don't know if Pangaea is fully frozen, because this is calculated on the basis that this sun we have here is the only active sun in the Antarctica Treaty. But it could also be possible that there's other suns active around here, which can be smaller suns. There's a time in the legends when they say that there were 3 suns in the sky and 7 suns in the sky. So it could be other suns which are smaller, and they could move around here, and Pangaea could be, or could have sections of Pangaea which are unfrozen, or Patalia, or this continent here in the north. So yeah, it's amazing. The life that Mercury shows the very edges of Mordor, which is like the edges of the Lord of the Rings. This is where the Lord of the Rings map comes from. This is fully unfrozen. And then we have this part here, which is a place called the Land of Autumn, with this continent here, which is also unfrozen. There's a volcano here, and there's plenty of other small islands. Or we have this here, which we don't know if Ireland has to do something with the Germans. I have no idea. Tasmania is here. Oh yeah, and then the stations. So Antarctica, McMurdo's here. You have a Casey station here, another station which is at the borders of Antarctica, what we call. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm not sure if where we have other stations and bases that we can see. New Zealand, that's for a different video. We have something here. We have the we have some stations here, which are also what we call Antarctica from South America, and of course the biggest stations here, which are the most famous from South America. And we'll have to do a more search in the next videos. I'm going to change the angle of the map and see if we have more stuff to. Yeah, there's more stations here. No, this is New Zealand. Okay, this is New Zealand. So yeah, so I hope it makes sense for you. Vibes of Cosmos is a genius the way he put this there, and that's why you see. I also love the fact that he put the Antarctica map as we see it on the globe, because everything that is on the edges of the frozen world is Antarctica, and of course the easiest exit to get out of here would be through this place here. But yeah, we can also exit. And thing is, if Atlantis and Lemuria and other parts you can see here, it's forbidden. So this is forbidden. You can't go in a straight line. even from Cabo Verde, you can't go in a straight line. Like Cabo Verde is at the edges of the Antarctica Treaty. This is the Antarctica Treaty, and it's forbidden to go in a straight line from Cabo Verde, which is west of Africa, to go. This is like the Antarctica Treaty, absolutely forbidden from Africa even. Look at this, absolutely forbidden. There's like a line here, the Antarctica Treaty line, which does not allow anyone, any civilian, to go. Look, prohibited, prohibited, prohibited here as well, prohibited here along Australia, prohibited from Australia in the south, from Tasmania also prohibited, because we have here the prohibition, and from Lemuria prohibited. Even Lemuria is surrounded. Look at this. There's a line here that doesn't allow you to go to Lemuria. And South America as well. Amazing stuff. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. And thanks, Vibes of Cosmos.